Great to see all of you at halftime of our noon Eastern time games right here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by. Please do all the good things to support. Like this video before you leave the channel. Do it right now. Actually, subscribe and so forth. Enjoy your college football day. And just wanted to check in because I thought that the Ohio State and Michigan games at halftime are extremely entertaining. Purdue is trying to get on the board just before halftime. We've got 11 seconds left in the first half. Devin Mockabee had run the ball down to the 1 yard line. Excellent play by Ohio State's Jordan Hancock just to get a hand on his ankle to bring him down at the 1 yard line. Then the Buckeyes had a couple run stops at the goal line that were just completely blown up, where they did an outstanding job, this Ohio State run defense at the goal line. And now Hudson Card through to the back of the end zone, and Denzel Burke with a pass breakup. Purdue's got 3rd and goal at the 12, and Hudson Card just brought down by the Ohio State pass rush. Couple guys that Buckeye fans love seeing in the backfield converging at the quarterback. JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer just brought down Hudson Card, so it's going to be a Purdue field goal attempt from about the 22-yard line, so about a 39-yard field goal with 6 seconds left. So regardless of what happens with his field goal attempt, and Purdue missed one on the opening drive after its best drive of the game up until this closing drive of the first half. Good news for the Buckeyes. Good stand by the defense because, again, the Ohio State defense has been dominant. After the first drive, Purdue got some things going, stalled, and Ohio State got negative plays on the Purdue offense in the red zone, forced the field goal attempt that was missed. Then basically nothing for Purdue the rest of the first half until this drive. Good run-pass mix for the Purdue offense, and they get it down to the 1 yard line. Now they're setting up for the, yes, I got it right, 39-yard field goal attempt to get on the board. Ohio State has looked really good in this first half. Michigan now looking good in the second quarter, but a rough start for the Wolverines. We'll get to that in just a second. And we've got another missed field goal by the Boilers. The Ohio State defense, wow, that was pretty incredible, stopping them at the 1. And then Purdue misses a field goal. They clank one off the left upright that I thought for a second might go through, but it did not. So unfortunately for Purdue, I kind of hate to see that. The dejected field goal kicker here with 2 misses. And when your team's losing 20-0 and you could have gotten them on the board first, that's a rough go. So the Buckeyes, let's stay with Ohio State before we get to the Michigan story here in the first half. So for the Buckeyes, I got to say Kyle McCord looks really good. He is getting better and better and better and better and better and better and better with each game. I don't care what his stats are right now because Julian Fleming dropped the first pass. Marvin Harrison's dropped passes. He threw a dime off a rollout that Xavier Johnson, I would like to have seen a replay. I missed the replay to see if Xavier Johnson, the ball was right on the money, and he was sprinting left and had to throw the ball 35 yards downfield. There have been a ton of throws in which Kyle McCord has dropped the ball just over a defender's shoulder or just past their helmet when they were looking at the receiver. He's throwing dimes out there. He's improved so much. He has improved so much. That's all there is to it. Dallin Hayden in the ball game. Ohio State, consider this. Ohio State's on pace to rack up 600 yards of total offense, and we'll get to the Buckeyes score up there, and then I'll take some comments and questions from all of you. So while we're talking Buckeyes, before we get to the Wolverines, Ohio State up 20-0. We'll stay with the offense here. Dallin Hayden running the ball like a man, and he's my guy. He's just my guy. Not that I like him for any particular reason, but I just couldn't understand why he was not utilized against Michigan last year after that great game against Maryland. And he may be the reason Ohio State won that game with 140 yards, and he's basically been silenced ever since. His biggest carry of the season after the Maryland game was, of course, that run stop against Georgia that led to the ill-fated field goal attempt at the end of the game. But Dallin Hayden running the ball well, and Xavier Johnson. So where's everyone else? Well, Travion Henderson was supposed to be ready to play today. That's what we heard earlier this week. He is not in the lineup. He's not playing. Mayan Williams is a no-go. Chip Tranum, hopefully he's okay. That was rough to see. Chip Tranum running like a man in the first half, doing a great job doing what he does. Caught a pass out in the flat, turned up field, and there were 3 Purdue defenders right on him immediately. And they all hit him, but especially the dude in the middle just laid a lick on Chip Tranum that obviously shook him up. He popped up and started running toward the side. You could tell initially he was shaken up and probably should have waited for people to assist him, for the medical staff. And then even if he was going to get up, kind of slowly go to the sideline. But I know the mentality of football players and a number of us who are competitive is, okay, I can shake this off. I'm good to go. Let's go. And he got up, he tried to run, and yeah, he stumbled off. So hopefully Chip Tranum is okay. They've shown him on the sidelines periodically. No one attending to him that I could see. So Chip Tranum should be okay. Julian Fleming with a drop early. Nice catch later. Kate Stover scored the last Ohio State touchdown, setting up finding the soft spot in the zone, in the end zone. I got to say, the Ohio State offense, other than Devin Brown fumbling at the goal line, which should have been another touchdown, they missed the first PAT, so it should be 28-zip right now. Well, to be fair to Purdue, it should be 28-6. Should be a 28-6 game, right? But Ohio State offensively, man, they were on pace for 700 yards. And consider, I know TreVeyon Henderson wasn't this back this year or last year, but you lose a back who's gained 1,200 plus yards and 15 touchdowns in a season, and another running back who's run for almost 900 yards and 14 touchdowns in a season, Mayan Williams, and a wide receiver, Emeka Ibuka, who had 74 catches and 11 touchdowns. That's a lot of offense lost. And your other best running back, Chip Tranum, knocked out of the game in the first quarter, and you're racking up yards like it's nobody's business. But the Devin Brown fumbled, which I like this. I usually don't like the change-up quarterback situation. Like, you got this really good quarterback, you use him between the 10s, and then all of a sudden you take him out of the game inside the 10-yard line, and he is the passing quarterback. He's the guy that can drill the ball, and you bring in this other guy who's a runner, Devin Brown. I usually don't like that, but it looks good. They look efficient doing it. Unfortunately, Devin Brown fumbled the ball at the goal line. At first glance, live, I thought maybe he made it into the end zone, but it wasn't even close. Good hit there by the Purdue defender. We'll do instant analysis on these games after the ball game and do the complete, I've got 10 pages of notes already. So that's the rundown on the Buckeyes. Offensively, the defense, Tyleik Williams is playing like a man. He's playing out of his mind, having a great first half. And Ohio State, just defensively, the run defense has been exceptional for the most part. First drive, last drive, they did give up some running play. So it's not like they've stalemated Purdue the entire first half. But pitching a shutout again, they did against, when you think about it, against Notre Dame, pitched a shutout until mid-third quarter, pitching a shutout against a Purdue offense that's not bad. Not great, not bad. Purdue offense put up 44 against Illinois, put up points against Syracuse, put up what they lost, 38-17 to Wisconsin. That was a game that they were somewhat in, stayed within 1 to 2 scores until late in the ball game. So this Purdue team, this is the way it's shaping out right now, or shaping up and shaking out, is a strong Ohio State performance, because Purdue's not a good football team by standards of measuring everyone, but they're capable. They can stay within shouting distance of some pretty good teams, and they've got a couple wins this season and could have had a win against a good Fresno State team, a good group of 5 team. So they're not completely a mess. All right, let's get to Michigan and Indiana. Then I'll check your comments. Appreciate everyone being here again. I didn't intend on doing this, but I just thought, man, we've got an intriguing halftime situation with Ohio State and Michigan in particular. I'm also right here on my third screen keeping track of Alabama, Arkansas. I will possibly have some thoughts about that post-game as well. So we're watching 3 games as it stands. All right, with Michigan, obviously they got off to a slow start. And the Indiana pass rush, led by Linnell Carr, who was 3 sacks in the first half, and Aaron Casey, of course, their star, was really affecting J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, a big pass rush is going to do that, but even when he had time, he was off his game for considerable time starting this game. And Indiana started moving the ball after their first drive that was 3 and out, lost yardage, and so was Michigan's. Indiana's second drive, they started to find something. Taven Jackson, bam, 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 down the field. They were finding some plays in the passing game, short, intermediate type routes. And then, unfortunately for Indiana, they're inside the 10. They've got an open receiver at the goal line. He's at the 1 or 2 yard line. And Taven Jackson just missed him. I don't know, wet ball. They talked about the wet conditions there. Just airmailed it. Maybe he was going to the back of the end zone. I don't think that's the case, because usually a quarterback will let it sail. Either he just flat out airmailed it, overthrew it, or it slipped out of his hands. Based on the rotation of the ball, it didn't look like it had slipped out of his hands, because it was a fairly tight spiral. But man, he overshot his receiver, Mike Sanristill, who I believe is now Mikey Sanristill, deflected the ball. And then they get the deflected interception. I believe that was Rod Moore who brought it all the way back. So Indiana misses that opportunity. And you got to think, as a 34-point dog, you miss that opportunity. And it's like, okay, game over. But they continued to play well. And they stopped Michigan and stopped them over and over and over and over. And then Michigan finally broke through. Blake Horums had his typical first half that he has. I found it kind of interesting at the end of the first half on the touchdown that made it 21-7, that Donovan Edwards got the ball, and he made some plays in the drive, both mostly through the air. And Donovan Edwards, as Michigan fans know and other college football fans, having a rough year. This is a guy who, once he took over for Blake Corum against Illinois last season in the penultimate game of the season, the game before the game, just exploded. And we knew he was really good before that, but man, like, became the man, like, tore through Illinois, tore through Ohio State, torched them for whatever he put up, 225 rushing. The playoff, or the Big Ten championship game against Purdue, tore them to shreds, and then put up 105 or so against TCU. Actually, the TCU defense did better against Donovan Edwards than Big Ten defenses. And like 8 yards per carry. So he was much more effective than Corum last year against largely better teams. Come into this year, and I don't know what's wrong with him. You know, same excellent offensive line in front of him, 3.4 yards per carry. And every time he gets the ball in this game, nothing. I might have had one decent run. But I bring this up because he's the guy that takes him down the field to a certain extent, gets that ball inside the 5 yard line, can't take it home, wants to stay in the game. They yank him out of the game, bring in Blake Corum, who has scored 12 touchdowns in the season. Donovan Edwards, none. And DE is not able to stay in the game. And you could see the look on his face. It wasn't like, I'm throwing a tantrum, I'm going to whine about it, but disappointment, understandably. JJ started to get it going, and he is dropping dimes now. Finally, Colston Loveland with some big plays downfield. AJ Barner, former Indiana Hoosier. You saw him with the big catch to get them within range to make it 21-7. I'm not going to exhaust all this because we're going to bring the instant analysis after the game. I want to hear from you guys. So enough of me. Your thoughts about Ohio State and Michigan's first halves, or anything going on in college football. And I appreciate so much the super chat here. Nick, thank you so much for the contribution. Appreciate you. Donovan Edwards is just not the same guy. I'm over it. I don't know what that's all about. You know, if it was a position where you have to, not that there's not concentration involved at running back and, a a mindset that's needed, and confidence, and all those things are needed at any competitive position in any major sport against elite competition. But it's not like throwing a baseball, or it's not like being a quarterback where if stuff gets into your head, it's affecting a skill set. This is about speed, strength, explosion, finding the right hole. There is a vision aspect to it, of course. So it's just odd to see a running back. This is not a basketball shooter where you go through a funk possibly and then it gets in your head. So very odd there. Nick, thank you so much for that. So for anybody just showing up, we have broken down Ohio State's first half, Michigan's first half, and I want to hear from all of you. So if you want to catch what I've talked about for the last 10 or 15 minutes, certainly rewind and check it out. Michigan down to 3 to Georgia at the half. I'm missing that one. John is here for the hot takes. Appreciate John as always. Typically can catch John at the Big Ten Live show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to funnel through various hosts, but John has been the guy to hold it down for us. Yeah, Moose, Michigan dominated the second quarter. I guess they dominated the second quarter. Yeah, they certainly outplayed Indiana in the second quarter. I tend to not use the word dominate unless I truly believe it was domination, because I'm impressed with the way Indiana's played this first half. I expected this to be like a bloodletting, just ridiculously brutal first. Like, I expected Ohio State to struggle more and have a more difficult game with Purdue than Michigan is with Indiana. And even though the scores are somewhat similar, Ohio State is just blowing Purdue off the field. They are just, it's not even close. They are just throwing and running the ball at will, especially considering they're missing, and I've already broken this ground and talked about this, missing one of their best wide receivers and their three best running backs, or not their three best running backs. I think maybe their best running backs on the field, Dallin Hayden, but their three top running backs on the depth chart. To consider all the production that they're missing, and they should have, it should be 28-0. No, Ohio State should have 28 points. I don't want to take away from Purdue. They should have 6 points because they missed 2 field goals. The real letting us know, yes, Notre Dame, actually, that line's gone from 2.5 to 3, which I'm a bit surprised by that the money's come in on Notre Dame. You can catch my pick on Patreon or right here as a YouTube member. Most, of course, rooting for the Boilers today. Mike says, after Notre Dame loses today, are we still saying that they're good? Well, Mike, it all depends on who you play. I still consider USC to be one of the 10 best teams in America. So if Notre Dame loses to them like 31-30, yeah, they're still good. That's a better performance than if they beat Ball State 30-27. So yeah, I'm going to watch the game and evaluate Notre Dame. So they may lose 42-0 today, and I'd say, you know what, Notre Dame's really not that good. But if they go lose to USC, regardless of what their freaking record is, let's be smart and evaluate it. The real MVP, not aware of this situation. I know that Florida State's on top. Again, I'm watching Ohio State, Purdue, Michigan, Indiana, and then my third screen is on Alabama, Arkansas. So Jordan Travis is okay. Hopefully, I saw he went to the locker room right before the half ended. Don't know anything about that. Keep in mind, everyone, we will have Florida State post-game right after the game against Syracuse. Michigan on the Michigan channel with John right after the ball game against Indiana. And the Wolverines just received the second half kickoff, and they've got a nice return out past the 35. Ohio State post-game against Purdue on the Buckeyes channel. Keep that in mind because we have not had that the entire season. So we're happy to have Best Damn Media with us to break down the Buckeyes after every Ohio State game. So that's on the Ohio State channel, and that's good stuff as well. Jared, we covered this topic with Donovan Edwards. We appreciate you being here. Mike, Good to see you. Any other points we need to hit before we head out for the second half? Jared says, I don't know. Should we pretend Indiana and Notre Dame is tough? And I guess you're speaking of Ohio State's schedule. Well, I guess Michigan fans, I'm guessing you're understanding that Ohio State's 23-3 win against Indiana. I guess maybe you're being a little more understandable of that if you're being reasonable right now. You see, I don't care if this game lands 48-7 or whatever the final score is. We've seen that Indiana outplayed them for a first quarter. They can play well in spots. And really, without a bad quarterback decision, they got 14 points on the board and were 21-14. So Michigan really had nothing to do with that interception. They caught the ball, but that was just a bad overthrow and a deflection. So Michigan moves it out to close to a first down in the pass completion to, I believe, Roman Wilson. DeReal, do we still need to act like Rutgers is good? All depends what you guys mean by good. When I say good, I mean like you're going to go to a bowl game. Usually when I say good, decent, I'll kind of use the word decent and say this team's decent. Rutgers is decent. They should be able to make it to a bowl game. Good, that for me is more you're in that top 25-30 range. Indiana with a nice tackle behind the line. Is that our guy, Aaron Casey, or is that, yes, it is, man, that guy can play football. Why he went to Indiana, I don't know, but Aaron Casey plays a lot of great football that nobody sees. Really good football player, and just brought down Blake Corum for a big loss there. I got to say, not that I'm into missed field goals unless it affects my team or whatever, but it is kind of funny when they doink them off the upright or the crossbar. Oh boy. Bama fan letting us know Brock Bowers is down. Mark, thank you for that, Bama fan. Appreciate the update there. Georgia might be in trouble. Wow. Brock Bowers is like we didn't know it already, but watching him play Auburn in the South Carolina game, but especially that Auburn game and the first half against Kentucky, because I didn't waste my time watching after halftime. Wow, he is so incredibly good. For as good as other players across the nation are at tight end, like we can talk about Luke Lachey before he got hurt, Eric All, we can talk about Colston Loveland here. Kate Stover is a really good player. And I haven't even made it out of the Big Ten. Brock Bowers is so good. Michigan just got a big play. This might be a touchdown. It will be a touchdown. And Michigan's out and running. It'll be 28-7. And there, right on cue, Colston Loveland. Talked about Colston Loveland right there. And Michigan's in good shape. They took it on the chin there early, but they're getting it going now. And Indiana really had the opportunity to put two touchdowns on the board and then had a bunch of penalties that led to sustained Michigan drives that were unfortunate. And Indiana, this will be the last play I'm going to mention concerning Indiana, Michigan in the first half. They had that 37-yard play downfield. That was a beautiful comeback to the ball by McCulley that was called back because of the hands to the face, which good call by the officials, had to be called, but Michigan kind of taken off the hook there. Halftime stats in West Lafayette, Purdue's last drive put up some yardage for them. 269 for the Buckeyes, 120 for the Boilers. Michael says, I see that Mark is making fun of Purdue already. That said, though, if I made fun of Purdue, actually I said they should have 6 points. Okay, a lot of things are said about me at times that are kind of strange. Anyway, that said, though, Mike, I see, by the way, Michael is going with the WITF instead of the customary WTF. Do teams, when they are the one or on the goal line, do they go shotgun formation for Purdue has to get stops on third down? Yeah. This game I thought was going to be a fairly competitive game, and it's just not. Now there's a complete second half, and it's only 20-0. That's still reasonable in today's football, 3 scores. But our guy, our odds maker, handicapper, Steve Merrill from Wager Talk, when I served up that 18-point spread, he goes, Ohio State in my math models blows that away. They win this game by like 25, 26 points. So they're getting ready to kick off in West Lafayette. Michigan's already put up a second half touchdowns quickly. That game probably in the bank now for Michigan. It was a little intriguing, a little interesting, a lot deeper into the game than I expected. I expected like, bam, Michigan's going to be up 21-0, and I'm turning it off and I'm done with it. But Indiana's put up a fight, but unless they can put something together this first drive of the second half, you got to think, well, I think we all know it's over anyway, even if they put a touchdown on the board. But I'll keep watching at 28-14. But hey, if somebody else pops up like a Syracuse and they can do something against Florida State, I'll check in on Alabama, Arkansas. Of course, I've been watching that game, 21-6. Jalen Milroe is chucking the ball downfield. So I will get at least 2 instant analysis in after these games. Chief, this is the worst comment of the day. This is the comment that is off base by more than anything. Have you watched Kyle McCord in the first half? Maybe you just looked at the stats with all the drops, but man, Kyle McCord, he's gotten so much better week to week, man. Ohio State running the ball today, stopping the run, dominating on defense, and Kyle McCord's precision in the passing game. Ohio State fans have to feel much better about their team despite missing their top 3 running backs, that they are moving the ball. Oh my goodness, their drive chart, they just put it up there. Every drive is like, boom, 70 yards down the field. All right, they just completed a ball on a 2nd and 1 to Xavier Johnson, and he just took off for like 25 yards. So Ohio State just racking up yards like nobody's business. And Penn State's got the day off, basically, scrimmage against UMass. So nothing out of them. Sets up the huge matchup, Ohio State, Penn State next week. Buckeyes not out of this situation yet, only up 20. And Michigan, I feel more secure about the Michigan lead just because I think Indiana is less capable of coming back. I might be missing something there. And Ohio State's on the road, of course. And Purdue, been a house of horrors. Michigan fans, Michigan State fans, Wisconsin fans, you might be surprised by this one. Kyle McCord's going up top, overthrew it. Oh, there's a flag. Yeah, did not allow the receiver, impeded the receiver there. Final interesting stat here. Where does Ohio State have its worst road record in the Big Ten this century? This century, its worst road record. My initial thought would be kind of like Michigan. Michigan's the toughest opponent overall, but obviously Ohio State's completely dominated the series this century. So they've only lost to Michigan on the road, the 3 times this century. Purdue's got the best record against Ohio State at home this century. It's not even close. So the Buckeyes looking to break a lot of bad history here in which they have been an overwhelming favorite at Purdue. Actually, a good stat for you is that Ohio State, since the last time they walked off the field at West Lafayette, were given that beating by the Boilers, 49-20. They cost them a playoff bid in 2018. Ohio State, of course, has split 4 games with Michigan. So they're on their way to another touchdown. Split 4 games with Michigan, Ohio State has since 2018. They're 37-0 against the rest of the Big Ten. 37-0. That's nuts. All right, folks. Good stuff from all of you. How many games has Michigan lost against the rest of the Big Ten since that day? Probably 10 or 12. All right, Kyle McCord back in there. Almost threw a touchdown pass, but he got knocked away by the DB. So good play by the Purdue DB on Marvin Harrison at the goal line. So the Buckeyes, 2nd and goal, and Indiana's got the football, and it's a rough one here, 3rd and 10, facing the Michigan defense. We'll check out this play. Brendan Sorsby still in the game, I believe, and he's going to get sacked for about a 1,000,000-yard loss. He just kept going backwards and throwing for a loss. And yes, Ohio State and Michigan both look to be in good shape. We'll see if Arkansas can come back on Bama. And of course, the 3:30 window is going to be highlighted by that crazy Washington and Oregon game that I am looking forward to watching. So we will see you throughout the day and be back here late night tonight after the primetime games for our call-in show. And remember, we've got all these post-game shows after the Ohio State game, after the Michigan game, after the Florida State game, after the Bama game on the SEC channel. So check those out, and we will see you soon. Appreciate everyone being here.